I can totally hear the TV downstairs.
Can you hear the TV? I thought that was the dogs.
It is the dogs. I don't know. I thought it was the TV downstairs.
Anyways.
Yes.
One day.
When
we are proficient in guitar playing, we will do a new song, like a new intro tune for the podcast.
I'm ready.
Stay tuned.
I can do it right now.
In the year 20-something.
You laughed.
We'll do a new musical intro for the podcast.
I don't think I like this coffee either.
Terrible
my
coffee.
God, it's terrible.
I forget that we're doing the intro.
Oh, hello. You might have to cut that out.
It's okay.
Okay.
Brand new, very first, absolute. This is actually the very first episode of the podcast for the decade.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
brand new
pretty big.
decade.
Brand new decade.
Brand new decade, brand new episode of the podcast. Thank you for listening, everybody. For 2020, we are actually in search of, we are hunting rabbits. No. We are searching for new sponsors for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're interested in sponsoring this said podcast, feel free to reach out and hit us up. Learn all about what sponsoring the podcast means. Hint, hint. You give us money and we talk about you on the podcast. That's what it means.
If you want to be talked about. If you don't, you can also just give. You don't have to be talked about, but we will happily talk about you.
If you want to be a silent sponsor.
Silent?
We are accepting silent sponsors this year as well, meaning give us money and we will not talk about you, except behind your back to each other, but not on the podcast.
It'll be all positive things.
Yes. Nothing but positivity.
Positivity.
On the positive podcast for the universe. Thank you for listening, folks. It's a brand new episode. And on this episode, we are going to talk about...
I think we're going to talk about the new year.
Probably.
That's as much as I got.
We don't know because since the last few episodes, we've enjoyed doing these intros before we actually record the episodes.
Have we now?
I've enjoyed it.
Have you?
Yeah. You know why I enjoy it?
Because you like watching me squirm.
Because I don't have to go back and edit any of these.
Oh.
Before, when we would do the intros after the episodes, there was a lot of like long pauses that I'd have to edit out.
This one doesn't?
No, we just talk about whatever, and then it turns into the intro for the podcast episode. So yeah.
Well, look at that.
So this is episode, I believe, 174, the very first episode of 2020, where Stephanie and I sit down and talk about the coming year and some other exciting things, maybe. Here we go.
You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is love.
The Energy is the Love podcast.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is love.
The Energy is Love podcast.
The podcast for the universe.
The Energy is Love podcast.
I'm already crying.
I know we haven't even started yet. So, folks, welcome.
We might need more tissues. Okay.
You think you've got enough?
I hope so.
Here at the Salazar household, we rung in the new year sick and congested and flu-like symptoms for the past week and a half.
I don't think we had flu-like symptoms. I think we had symptoms from the flu.
No, they were flu-like symptoms.
Yeah. How you doing over there,
I'm
Craig?
fine. I'm much better. I'm healing. I'm
from your flu-like symptoms and respiratory-like infection.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm
like.
What is the? I'm the. Oh fuck! I'm the picture of health.
Yeah, you are. You are. Instead, you look all healthy.
So bear with us in the middle of the episode when we both have to pause and blow our noses for the umpteenth time.
Maybe I'll do it during it.
Yeah, just do it, baby. Just blow it. Just blow it. That's what everybody's doing these days. All the girls are doing it.
Oh, that's enough.
What's one thing that you succumb to peer pressure in your life? Can you think of just one?
Oh my God. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I can't say it. I was going to make a joke, but then I immediately flashed to my mom listening.
Nah, she doesn't listen.
She doesn't listen anymore?
Nah.
You don't think?
We burned all of our parents from listening to the podcast.
I talked about too many things.
Mm-hmm.
We were a little too real.
Yeah.
That means we can be a lot too real now.
Excellent.
What have I succumbed to?
Yeah, when has peer pressure gotten you in your life?
I want to say that peer pressure has not ever taken hold. But, peer pressure has taken hold. Pretty bad. Do you want Do you want like what I succumbed to? Or
Yeah. What did you end up
I was
doing?
peer pressured in a sense to trying to look cool too and keep up with the older alcohol. I drank
How old were
and
you?
smoked.
Do you
How old was
remember?
I?
When in this instance of succumbing to peer pressure?
Well, I don't know if it was so much peer pressure, like, come on, Steph, do it. I didn't really have that. It was more of I wanted the older people to like me. So I'm like, look at me, I'm cool. I smoke, I drink, I'm cool.
You wanted to be accepted.
Yes.
Would we call that peer pressure or would we call that acceptance pressure?
Acceptance pressure. I'm trying to think, have I ever... I'm sure I've been peer pressured because I feel like everybody has, but I honestly can't think of any. I've made decisions that I haven't really wanted to make to fit in and things, which I regret, but I don't know that. Oh, no. Shit, sorry. When most people try to convince me to do something, I'm more of a fuck off type as opposed to, okay. So
I like the distinction between acceptance pressure, the things that you do out of a desire or a fear of not being accepted.
Yeah.
And then just straight up peer pressure where people are like, come on, do it.
Yeah, that makes me dig my heels in more.
You can't think of anyone?
I'm sure there is because there's no way there's not, right? But none's jumping out. I have a ton of acceptance pressures that I can think of that I've done that I hope I don't do anymore. But as far as peer pressure, I don't know. There's been like relationship pressure of peer pressure. Does that count?
I suppose, yeah.
Okay, well, if that counts, then okay, there's that. But as far as like just people in my general everyday life, yeah, the more they try to get me to do something, the more I feel like they're trying to tell me what to do. And I'm like, pfft.
What about when you were young?
Like I said, I'm sure. I just can't remember any of it.
Trying to think what I could have done. This is actually really sad, and I think that this is probably, I don't know if this is acceptance pressure or peer pressure.
Okay.
Because I'm having a hard time, like I can't envision a scenario in my life where they were like, I know the coffee's terrible.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's
This
okay.
sucks.
It's good because we're not supposed to be drinking it this late in the day anyways.
Oh, well, tough.
We'll still drink all of it, by the way. I can't think of a time where I was surrounded by a group of peers or something like that, and they were like goading me into doing something.
Yeah.
Having a hard time picturing that or envisioning a time in my life when that happened. But I don't know. I think there were times where I went along with things that were being done.
Yes.
Or things that were happening, almost caught up kind of in a mob mentality type thing.
Been there.
Which I think is a form of peer pressure.
Okay.
Maybe it's some fucking survival too. Maybe peer pressure is all just survival fucking acceptance pressure.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all just a matter of not wanting to stand out, not wanting to have everything immediately turned around onto you. And so I'm going to tell you this story. I don't know if I've told you this story or not.
Okay.
It just came to me and I'm not a very big fan of it.
Well, the thought of getting to learn something new about you is exciting.
I may have told you, don't get too excited.
Okay.
I remember being in middle school, so in 8th grade, so the same age our boy is. What is he, 13?
Mm-hmm.
And
glad you guessed right.
What is he, 26 now? I thought of this the other day. We got him a headset for Christmas, Barb. But yeah, we get him a headset for his video game stuff, and he sits downstairs and talks to people on his headset. But I had this vision when him and I were down there playing video games the other day of like that scene in, I want to say it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, where he goes over to his buddy's house, which is Vince Vaughn, and they're down in the basement and looking at guns and doing a bunch of different stuff. And then he's like yelling at his mom upstairs. And so I had this funny vision of Asher and I in 20 years in the basement. And you're like, do you guys want some grilled cheese? Mom! Shut up, Mom! Anyways.
Let me talk to your future self right now, just real quick.
Yeah.
I do not recommend that. You can hang out down there, but if I offer to make you a grilled cheese, then it's yes, thank you, or no, thank you.
So,
milady.
Milady.
That's what I will answer to. Okay,
come, milady.
That's what, yes, I will.
The story that I'm not wanting to tell, but I have brought it up, so I have to now.
Yes.
8th grade, gym class. I went to the gym teacher. It wasn't the gym teacher. So in gym, we had to shower after gym, right before we go back out into school, because teenage boys stink when they run around and sweat. So we had to shower, which was like this super panic-ridden, stressful thing, because the fact is you don't want to get naked in front of a bunch of other teenage boys your age, because you're embarrassed about your body and all sorts of different things. But at the same time, like, it shouldn't be a big deal, but it was a big deal. It's just this whole convoluted, crappy space of puberty and teenagers and garbage. And it sucked. But eventually you got comfortable with it. Well, most people got comfortable with it, and it wasn't that big of a deal. You just shower real quick and then you're done, and then it's not a big deal. But I remember all of us, and I say all of us, I don't know who it was, right? Just the class, ganging up on this kid who didn't want to shower and like dragging him into the shower.
Oh, damn.
And like holding him under the water in the shower. He was dressed. We didn't like strip him naked, but like we totally dragged him forcefully, because he totally did not want to go into the shower, and turned the shower on while he was in there. And I remember like participating in it, and like at the same time being like, this is weird. This doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this? And I also remember seeing the gym teacher there in the locker room.
Allowing that?
Yeah.
Mother.
Letting it happen.
Oh, that's now I'm livid.
Well,
I'm
it was a long time ago.
You know. Well, I'm livid at him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I can have compassion for the. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a mob mentality situation where I was swept up.
That poor kid.
I didn't instigate it.
Oh my goodness, I believe you.
But I definitely wholeheartedly participated in it. I wasn't like a unwilling participant. I was like grabbing a hold of the kid and dragging him into the shower with a bunch of other kids. That's what 8th grade boys are like.
Well, I just have to say that I would not handle. You remember that? I'm glad you're not that person anymore. And that
Have I
gym
ever told you
teacher,
that?
You have not told me that story. I will be less excited about new information from here on out. Just kidding. That gym teacher. Oh, that's got a problem. You remember when Stevie had that situation at the school, and as we're walking into the school, you are driving to the school because we're going to take care of things. And you tell me now, before I start going off on people, let you at least try to get Stevie out of the room first. Do you remember that?
Was it the fight?
It was the fight.
Okay.
I was trying to not. Like that's actually, no, before you start going off, let me try and get Stevie out of the room first. There would be no stopping me. I would lose it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it would not be okay. So do you know that person still? You don't say the name because they don't need a.
God, I don't even know if I remember his name.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know him. He was one of the kids because I did grow up in this small town. The majority of kids that I started kindergarten with, I graduated high school with. So we were together for 12 plus years of schooling. And so it's
Did he change schools after that?
Well, this kid wasn't one of those kids. Yeah. He was a new kid that came in during middle school, which is, I think, like the worst time to change schools, right?
Yeah.
During middle school. I can't even imagine because, like...
I can't imagine changing schools.
Well, imagine like an elementary school. I think it would be a little bit easier because the teachers are there and you're like one-on-one with the teachers and you get the really sweet, loving teacher that's there to help you, and then kids are nice. And then in high school, you're kind of already fucked up and traumatized, so it doesn't really matter anyway. But I feel like middle school would be the worst time to change schools and start somewhere fresh because everybody is just a nightmare of a hormonal idiot. That's what
we did to Stevie.
No, she was
middle school.
Was it 6th grade? Well, she was going into 6th grade.
She was going into 7th grade.
Well,
took her out of elementary school. People that she's grown up with since preschool removed her from all of that and threw her in middle
guess
junior. So junior, words.
I guess the fight in high school makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it?
That's why she took care of business.
So no, I don't remember that kid, and I think he must have moved on a few years after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've told me another story like this, and I have to tell you that both, like, it surprises me so much. Oh, you got scary eyes. No, it surprises me because that's not your normal. And those aren't the majority of the stories that I hear. I hear a lot of stories about you. I've heard from you, and I've heard from your friends that you grew up with. You know, you guys have all got around and talked. I've heard things. I've heard you being wild stories, but I have, like, hearing stories about Craig being mean. I haven't heard. I've heard very, very little tiny finger space between my fingers.
What was the other story you're referencing?
I'm trying to remember it.
Or delicately.
No, I remember it was like, wow, I am surprised. It was when we talked about you being bullying the kid that was, I don't remember.
The gay kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just that little bit of it. So I have 2 stories of you being an asshole. And they're surprising.
Would you
because
like
they don't
some
fit. No. If there's more, of course I want to know. But it's just so surprising that I'm like, wait, what, Craig? No, you're wild. You maybe did some crazy shit, but mean isn't really who you are. So it surprises me.
I was mean, I'm sure.
Well, there's a couple of stories.
There's definitely a couple of stories. Perspective, right? It's always perspective.
Are you saying I'm looking at you with rose-colored?
No. I think you definitely are looking at me through the lens of the woman that loves me.
Very much.
And is compassionate to the child that I was back in the day.
Yes.
However, I'm pretty sure that if we go talk to some of the people that I grew up with, they'd be like, oh yeah, Craig was always an asshole.
Always?
From day one.
Really?
Because it's perspective, right?
Okay, perspective, right. But I've talked to your friends that you've grown up with.
Not all of them.
You're right, not all of them. The ones that are
Not
still
the ones
friends.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones that liked you. And they did not have asshole Craig stories. So that might be it.
There's a reason they're still friends with me.
That might be it. I feel like that was an obvious conclusion I should have came to on my own, but I did not. That's okay. So yeah, it just surprises me. You're always like, you're the good guy. I'm sorry. But you're bad. You're really bad.
No, I am a good guy.
You are.
But I haven't always been this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long work in progress.
Well, I'm glad I know you.
I'm glad you know me too. And I'm glad you don't know the kid that, dragged that poor kid into the
I would not be friends
shower.
with that kid.
Yeah.
I would not. That's okay though. There's things that I've done that you would not be friends with me over.
Both of those things. So you referenced me beating up a gay kid earlier. That was in middle school as well.
See, middle school, I think any horrible thing you do in middle school, you might get a pass because middle school sucks. I'm stuck. There we go. Okay.
So ages what, like 12 to 14? Free pass?
Not a free pass, not as in no accountability, just like you still need to, whatever it is, like deal with it at the time. Age acceptable, but it should not be something that haunts you later in life. Like right now, you don't need to have all the shame because of that, which you did.
Yeah.
You also saved a whole bunch of lives. You're the hero.
Not in 8th grade.
Not in 8th grade.
No, not in 8th grade. I was a jerk.
Wow. That's so surprising.
Yeah. It's okay. It's not who I am, right?
Well, it depends on the day you ask me that.
So funny.
I love you.
I love you too. I don't know. I think back about those times and I remember, because our boy's in the same age, right? He's in middle school right now. And for whatever reason, I remember that time period in my life very, very vividly.
Yeah. Like
super clear. And I don't know why. It's not like anything, magnificent happened. But I remember it very, very clearly. I remember like 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade.
Yeah.
So whatever, like 11, 12, 13, 12, 13, 14, whatever. And I remember it so, so clearly. I just remember so many different aspects of it and like my group of friends and just like, God, I can see it all so clearly. What's really interesting too?
What's that?
As I'm sitting here thinking about it, and maybe perhaps if I really stretch my mind, a all the memories that are coming to me, and I don't think it's just because we're talking about it. I'm sure if I sit down and really, really search the old noggin, I'm sure I could come up with other memories. But all of the memories that I'm thinking about that are so fresh, like really, really fresh, are school.
Yeah.
And like social stuff, right? In the context of school and hanging out with friends and girls and like the social dynamic of my life at that time period.
Yeah.
I can remember almost nothing about my home life.
Yeah.
That's also when my mom and dad got divorced during that time period. I wonder how much that has to do with it.
Oh, I'm sure it's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I've never thought about that dynamic.
That's kind of big.
So they got divorced when I was 14. So I wonder, I don't remember the time of year when they did.
No wonder you were.
So I don't know if it was, no wonder I was an asshole.
I was going to say
right?
angry.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm in March.
Yes.
Then I would have been 14 in middle school.
Yes.
Like my 8th grade year, right?
Yes.
Would have turned 14.
Because Asher's going to turn 14.
Yeah.
So you'd have been 13, 14.
And then I would have been 14 going into
freshman.
And then, so there's a good chance that they got divorced my 8th grade year.
And I'm sure it was really pleasant before the divorce actually happened.
Right.
Too. So I'm sure that was pretty smooth sailing as divorces tend to go.
Why I can remember so much about like the social life of that time period. Because that was like that's where my focus was. Because the house was probably not very good.
Yep.
I do remember one thing.
What's that?
It's super insignificant. We used to get $1.25 for lunch every day. And that's how much like school lunch cost, was $1.25. And instead of like, lunch money on the school balance or whatever, my mom would put the money on top of the fridge, like in this little cabinet thingy. And it was our responsibility every day to get our lunch money and take it to school with us. And the reason she did it that way was so that we could either do school lunch, or if we wanted to, because in middle school you can buy all the crap and garbage that you want to eat instead of school lunch. And I remember getting my money, and I would take the quarter and I would wrap the dollar around it so that it was very, very tiny. So basically like fold the dollar up and around the quarter so it was the same size as the quarter, and then tuck it into my sock. And that was my like spot to keep my money, was folded up in my sock.
Did anybody try? I can't imagine somebody would try and take your lunch money.
No.
But that's kind of like the kid that hides it.
No, I don't remember anybody ever taking my lunch money. I don't remember anybody ever picking on me.
I don't imagine that happened.
I have vague memories.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we going down memory lane of Craig's 8th grade year? Give me some coffee, woman, and change the subject.
Change the subject. Okay. You sparked some things in me. If we're gonna keep, or do you not want to? Should I show you mine, or should we not?
Yeah, show me yours.
Should I? Okay. Get ready.
Go bam.
So I've definitely thought of some things that I was peer pressured on, but they're kind of like really shitty. So I don't know how comfortable I am sharing. Okay. So I grew up on a small military base. So the school now is K through 12, which is like, that makes my brain hurt so
like
bad.
Today it's K through 12?
No, it was K through 6, 7 through 12 when I went to schools. And they decided
it's gotten smaller since then?
It's gotten smaller.
Wow.
And so now it's K through 12. So I'm like, the trauma that came to me from having these girls going through puberty around a bunch of senior boys, like, it was not a good experience.
It's terrible.
So it's horrible. And now that they've combined it, is like, well, that's all right. There's enough shit that goes wrong on a military base growing up. So here's a little bit more. But I remember
parents are in the military. There's nothing, stressful or chaotic about that.
Mine weren't in the military anymore. Well, my mom never was. My dad was, but he wasn't when we were there. But they were both civilians on the base at that point. So I didn't live with military parents. He was out before I came along. But I often wonder what would have been like if I would have, like, there's part of me that thinks every 2 years might have been a good thing instead of being there. Well, anyways, I totally fell into the group thing. So it was, I remember this one guy who was such a douche. He was such a douche. He was the stereotypical jock that was just had very few friends, but he was the one that was like mean to his friends too. And he was just mean to everybody. He was just mean. But he was such a stud, you know, all of those things. And he was mean. He was like so much older than me, and he was mean to me. He was so mean. He made me feel like so bad.
What's his name? Call him out.
I'm not going to.
We'll shame him right now.
I actually
on the podcast.
saw him about a month ago.
Oh, is he still out in this area?
He is.
Well, you'll have to tell me when we're done recording.
I saw him at the DI of all places, and I was like, oh my God.
Was he working at the DI?
Oh my God, I wish he was. I didn't know. I would have still
Nothing
been
wrong
nice.
with it if you work at the DI, for those of you that don't know, is the secondhand Goodwill store here in Utah, but nothing wrong with working there.
Nothing wrong with it. But one of the first things he tortured me about is he saw me at Walmart, and because I shopped at Walmart. So I got like that, and I'm like, you were there too? He's like, no, I was there with my friend who was returning this. So he wasn't really one of the losers to shop at
totally
Walmart.
A douche.
So mean. And so to see him at the DI was like, oh, you're shopping here too. But I it completely ignored. It's like, this is where I could be a bigger person and be like, hi. But I was like, you know, so I didn't have any desire to say hi. But anyways, this is something that I have felt bad about, and it's happened on 2 occasions. So sometimes he would just start a little group. We're sitting in class, teachers wouldn't do anything, and he would just start a little group, and I'll wait.
Keep going, please. I'm silencing a stupid Alexa alarm that's going to go off in 5 minutes so that it doesn't interrupt us.
Okay.
So
if you say stupid Alexa, she'll stop working.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Anyways, so it would just go off. It's like this round table thing, and where they get a bunch of people to join in, and they all just sit there and ridicule you. So granted, I wasn't drug in a shower.
God, mine sounds so much terrible. Like mine's the shit of movies that scars
It
kids
is.
for life.
It's a little bit, but this one sucked too, you know? So I'm trying to yeah, that one was pretty bad, but I don't imagine you did it more than once.
No.
See, there you go. I did this twice. So anyways, I'd experienced that, and I remember just sitting there, and I remember just thinking I'd give anything to get out of that space right now, because I couldn't move. There was nowhere I could go. I just had to sit there and take it. And it sucked. There was nothing. And all these people older than me, and some in my grade and some older. So it was just I was that, you know, it just fucking sucked. And then there was a day that it was turned on somebody else. And instead of me, you know.
So are they sitting there roasting you in a sense?
Pretty much.
Okay.
In the middle of class, you know, because there's nothing else to do. Thanks,
Nice.
teachers. Thanks, gym teachers.
Yeah, thanks, teacher who had the idea and instigated it, probably.
Probably.
Fucking idiot teachers
Right?
back in the 80s and 90s.
So there was a day when I caught it being somebody else. And I was careful to whenever I would see it being somebody else, I would not say anything. I would just look away, and I did not see something and do something, or see something, say something. I would just oh, it's not on me. But I was there, and it started in on somebody else. And I was so grateful that it wasn't directed at me that I started in. I was one of them.
That's mob mentality.
It is. And I feel so bad. And that happened twice. It happened twice. It happened to one of them that I really don't know very well. I never really got to know because, I don't know, I never got to know. And then it happened to, up until that point, he was actually kind of a friend of mine. And then I jumped in on it. And he still, I'll try and say hi to this day when I see him. And it's the DI. He is fuck you. He does not. And I feel so bad.
You know what's so funny? We try to tell ourselves.
So bad.
We try to tell ourselves that oh, it's not that big of a deal. It happened a really long time ago. I'm sure they're over it. Right. And then I sit and think about the shit that I'm not over.
Exactly. Yeah.
the stuff that happened to me when I was like 7.
Yeah.
And I'm like still traumatized over it. And I'm like, oh, fuck, they're totally not over that.
Yeah.
That poor kid in the shower thing, he probably still has issues with,
He might.
you know, all sorts of different things that could have potentially stemmed from that. That sucks.
That sucks. That's hard. Like, so what do you like do in that?
Like for me,
Well, yeah, because like there's things
ignore it and don't think about it often until it comes up
in a
randomly on a
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yep,
That's what
serves
I do.
me well.
All right. Avoid, avoid, avoid.
What can you do?
I know that's the sucky thing is like, I feel like there's part of me that wishes I could go apologize, right?
Yeah.
But then if you apologize, is that really going to make a difference to them? Or is it just going to bring it up again? Is it going to make them feel like shit? Are you really apologizing to make that person feel better? Or are you doing it to make yourself feel better? Which in that case, that's shitty.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Leave them alone.
I don't know. I've thought about that. I've thought about some of the amends that I should make over my life.
Yeah?
Yeah. And whether or not it would be beneficial or not.
Yeah. If it's going to benefit the person, absolutely. But if it's just to benefit you, like, I think you should find that within yourself.
But we can't tell whether it's going to benefit the person.
All right.
Right? There's no way to know that. There's no way to know where that person is at in their life right now. And so I think I remember the guy's first name.
Do you?
Yeah. Maybe his last name's.
I remember both of their names,
Yeah.
first and last. I could probably find them.
Yeah. I could probably find this kid too.
Yeah.
Stephanie and I have a massive talent for.
Don't out us.
Have I ever told you about our private investigator business that we're going to do on the side?
Have you ever told me?
Yeah.
I told you.
Oh, you told me?
I told you.
Baby, I have this really good idea. We're totally going to start a Salazar PI business. But yeah, I can find people pretty well, pretty quick, pretty easy online. We can.
We can.
We actually can.
Yes.
I think I do remember this kid's name. But I've thought about amends.
Yeah.
And what that would look like. I thought about that gay kid and, you know, but I don't know. The fear is that it would be detrimental.
Right?
But then I think
Bring
about
something back up is going to cause them pain.
I mean, flip it in the reverse, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if somebody finds you out of the blue and just like honestly and openly apologizes for something that took place 20 years ago, that even if it may not have stuck with that person.
Holy shit. It's more than 20 years. I feel so old now. Thank you. Continue.
You know, even if it, you know, maybe it wasn't something that has stuck with him. Maybe it's something that he's made peace with and he's moved on. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was a catalyst in his life that was actually a beneficial thing. And he's, you know, I don't know. All of those
Mother
things.
hugging rock star now?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But even if it's good or bad, I think about it from my perspective. If somebody came to me genuinely,
Yeah.
like with genuineness in their heart and really openly, just simply like, hey, I know this might seem strange. I don't know if you remember this situation. I recall this thing. I always felt wrong about it. I always, you know, felt bad about it. And I just wanted to apologize to you for that and my role in it back in the day. I'm very, very sorry. And I wish I could have done things differently at the time. I think genuine apologies, regardless of whether or not it's going to hit that person right, you know, or wherever they're at in their life right in that moment, I think it's always worth it.
I think I'm going to have to make some.
Well,
I'm going to reach out to 2 people. Maybe.
Should we make 2020 a year of amends?
I think if we're called to it and it comes in our space, it's there for a reason and we should listen to it. I'm also going to give one more. And this was a friend of mine, but I wasn't trying to be mean. It turned out I was mean, but I was so not trying to. I did another friend of mine. I used to wear a lot of makeup. I did one friend's makeup in class because that's what girls did, sit there and did each other's makeup because it's fun.
Yeah, I remember.
Whatever. Okay. And I did her makeup great. She looked great. And she was pretty anyways, but like I did a good job. And that was like my validation of, look at me, I can apply makeup well. What I did not understand is that there are different skin tones and colors that look good on different people, you know, because I just did what I did on my face, which worked for me. on her face, which we were similar, so it worked for her. And then my other friend, who was very different, wanted me to give it a shot on her. And I thought I had it down because, proof is in the pudding, like my makeup, her makeup, and it did not look right. It was bad. And then you know how I do this thing where when I get nervous, my nervous makeup application, or if I'm trying to fix it, and sometimes it just goes fuck. Picture that nervous high school girl in class trying to fix it on this poor girl's face. Okay. She looked at her face and started crying and took off running.
No.
Pissed off, was sure that I made her look like an idiot because I was being mean. And here's where it gets shitty. I was more willing to take the fact that I was a bitch over I messed up. So I didn't even clarify it that I was trying to do a good job. I was just like, I just kind of like think I'm a bitch instead of I failed. Shitty.
Well, that was an accident.
That was an accident. But what I did after was a choice.
Did you have the, I'm almost certain you didn't.
What?
But since I didn't know you back then, did you have the line of cover up or concealer or whatever the hell it is that you could see?
I hope not.
On your, there were so many girls that, what is
I
that?
remember that. It's your base.
Yeah. Where you could
they wouldn't blend.
You could see the line.
The jawline.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know anything about makeup, but I know you're not supposed to do that.
I don't know, because when you're doing makeup, you were like this. So I don't think
people can't see.
You're right, they can't see. So you're just like zooming in a shot a little bit.
When you do makeup, you're like this and pause. Folks, I'm going to describe this moment.
I'm holding so you can see me.
She's standing on her head. She's got one foot pointed out to the north. The other finger is stuck in her ear.
Okay, I'll just do this. You don't learn till you've been doing it for a while that you're supposed to like lift your head and back and forth in the light and look and make sure that you're blended. So the fact that I know I didn't know that until later in life means I probably did. And I just didn't know.
Well, good. You never knew.
All right. Yeah.
Hopefully those girls never knew.
Hopefully.
I'm going to out some of them right now.
So, yeah. If I was a choice to look like a bitch or look like a failure, I would totally choose a bitch.
I think if we try to make amends for all the things that we've done in our life, we'll just never end up doing anything else other than, every day would be an amends make, like, do you know what I mean?
Are you going to make amends for the shitty coffee?
I got to make amends for the shitty coffee. There's so many things.
Maybe we're supposed to.
Maybe we're not.
Well, maybe we're not, but I'm thinking
it's part of the 12-step program in recovery.
Right? We totally sound like, but I don't. Anyways, that's a whole other topic.
So maybe we need to.
I wonder. But then...
Fuck. I'm not liking the way this feels. You know why?
Because are we going to do it?
Yeah, because it's kind of feeling like a thing. And I'm thinking about some other things. And I'm like, God damn it.
This came out of nowhere.
Not really, if you think about it. It's kind of been on my mind in some way, shape, or form. Some of the things that I've been thinking I need to do. And then I'm like, oh, this kind of fits. Well, shit.
What about people that we don't have to make amends to that should probably make some big amends to us? But instead, what if our amends is we just let them off the hook?
Yeah, we got to forgive them, babe.
Don't tell me I got to. Remember, I don't succumb to peer pressure. You tell me I got to do something, I'm going to tell you to shove it up your ass. Ask me nicely and I'll consider it, please.
Perhaps maybe we should, forgive those people that we feel scorned by.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe. Now I'm listening now. Maybe.
Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe that's what 2020 is about. Because we do see hindsight.
We do. It is, well.
We do see those things now for what they were, right?
Barbara Walters is in my ear.
Barbara Walters. I do, yeah.
I think anybody else will get it?
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, because they're all old listening to this. They're our age. They're not. Did you about spit your coffee?
Did you know that Barbara Walters is our Barb?
Oh,
how funny
damn.
Would that be? So
you can totally afford mics. Come on. Help us out.
Barb?
If I call you Babs. Maybe it's so the funny. Other one.
I love your cute faces. You're like, if I call you Babs, smile, coy, wink, wink.
It's really a shame that nobody can see me.
That's the other thing I was thinking we need to do this year. Set up a video.
Are you going to do it?
I think we need to.
Okay, listeners. You will then see what my nervous makeup application looks like.
The problem is that, you know what, one of the things that would be beneficial if we did a video podcast every week, we'd have to keep
Every
our
week?
room clean. What do you mean every week? Yeah.
We would do a video one every week. And for one, let me just back up. Mister.
Because I already thought about it. This is one of the things that I thought about.
I am not the only one that can pick up. You're like, keep our room clean. Our room is pretty good.
Yes.
There's, for one, you have just as many rocks as I do. You just gave yourself 2 tables. And you gave yourself 2 shelves. And I didn't mean to yell in the mic. I got one turntable and a microphone over here. I got 1 table.
Oh, big yawn.
Oh, big yawn.
So, every week, it seems like for the past 6 weeks, I've been waking up at 4 a.m. without the ability to sleep through the night because of the congestion and everything. But one of the mornings, I woke up and I envisioned what it would look like if we did video in
God damn it, we're still
with
on that. I thought you got squirreled. I was so happy.
No, I think it would work.
I tried to squirrel you with the rocks.
Generic shitty
Squirrel.
Webcam, a nice little HD
Jesus.
webcam.
HD. You want to HD this?
And then
no. Like
set it up and
low lights.
good evening, listeners. You are about to tune in to the Energy is Love podcast.
We did record
where
it
we
in our
turn the
bedroom.
lights down low and we turn the
hide the
music
fl-
up soft. The coconut coffee is hot, and your
Your what?
hosts, Stephanie and Craig, are here to bring it home.
Okay, I totally listen to that.
Maybe we will. I don't know. Seems like a lot of work for nothing.
Why do you want to do video?
I don't know. Like I said, it seems like a lot of work for nothing.
Do you know what I do
What?
when I'm on video? I fidget. I sit there and I rock and I'm like,
It would take you like 2 or 3 episodes and you'd forget.
you think?
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad.
Okay, here's one.
I'm recording you right now.
You are not. So
Maybe that's what we use our Ring doorbell for.
Jesus
We
Christ.
just use that as our... That's so funny. Go ahead.
I had one moment of fame where I got interviewed for news by the actual like TV cameras coming in, and as I'm talking to them, and why they wouldn't direct me, I don't know, because they're super fucking nice. Sorry about my. Anyways, I
Maybe
realized
that's why they wouldn't
it was
direct you.
it was my swivel chair. Do you remember the dispatch swivel chairs? So I'm in the swivel chair, and I realized that as I'm talking on the camera, that I've been sitting here going like back and forth the whole time, and then I had to stop, and I'm like, oh my God. And I stopped, and then I was like trying to talk. They talked to me for so long, but the clip was small because they only showed the part when I wasn't swiveling anymore. But then I was like, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move. So my talk, I was
Deer in
very
the
slow. Like,
headlights.
and no, I'm not moving. So it wasn't really that long of a clip, I don't think, but
What was it for? Do you remember?
I do.
Do you want to tell the listeners?
It was for assisting on the phone, dispatch 911. A woman on I-80 went into labor and gave birth to twins on I-80.
And you helped
I helped.
immensely.
I helped. And the officer that showed up,
Yeah.
he also. So it was fun. It was kind of cool because it turns out that officer, we became friends after that. We haven't talked forever now, but we became friends after that. And then through talking with each other, we realized that he was also friends with my uncle, who works in another county, is in law enforcement, and they were actually really close. So he went from him and then came and worked with me. And so it was just kind of cool.
It's very cool. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. You did so many wonderful things. So
Does that mean I made amends?
you're good. You have been cleansed.
Oh,
No
look
more.
at that.
I have to.
Does it do that for you when I wave my hand like that too?
Yeah, yep.
You are cleansed.
We
This house is clean.
smudge. We smudge each
We
other.
do smudge each other.
Smudgy.
Smudge you very much.
Anyways,
No.
we
Smudge
got
you later.
squirreled from the very beginning of this episode, and I actually had an idea of what
Oh,
we
did
could talk
you?
about.
Okay.
Because
Should we start the podcast?
yeah, we'll start the podcast. So, you're listening to. No, we had realization the other day that this was like the second year, even though for whatever reason I don't remember it last year. But we didn't have to have some half-assed generic New Year's resolution that we were going to quit smoking this year because we done did it.
We don't need it.
So I thought that was very, very cool. moment for me to recognize that and be reminded of that, because that was a very consistent, ongoing thing at New Year's time. Was like,
Gonna quit smoking.
This is the year. This is the year I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. And so it's very cool to not have that. But I was thinking about resolutions, and I'm not super focused on making any half-ass attempts at some resolution this year about I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, but just kind of more on the ongoing basis. What do we want to do with our lives in regards to bettering them and furthering them and moving them forward? So an easy way to say it is, what the fuck do we want to do with our resolutions this year, even though we're not really going to do resolutions?
We do it all the time. We come up with them all the time. So
yeah, we do. So what's Q1? What's the first quarter of 2020 look like?
Apparently, we have amends to make for our doucheries.
Oh my God, I'm so not looking forward to that.
Sorry for. I know that's going to be hard, and I
feel like there's a lot of people that I could apologize to.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you? Now, I also want to draw awareness to something that just rang so loud in my brain. Are you ready for my ding-a-ling? This is legitimate amends. This is where you have caused harm to somebody else. This is not a way that you get to self-deprecate every decision, everything in your life, and use it as a tool to beat yourself up. So legitimate things.
But the problem is we don't know. So it's perceived legitimate harm. It's things that we perceive from our seat, from our spot, from our perspective on this must have been detrimental, or this is still stuck with me 20 plus years later, right? Where it may not have been that big of a deal for them. But maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder, because I know that out of the two, I was not by any means, that was not the first time that had happened to them. It was not the last, but it was the only time that I took part in it.
So maybe the amends has to be, I mean, in a sense, it is more about us.
Yeah, see, that doesn't feel right. That just feels shitty.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not going to bring up something from the past and put somebody else back in a space that may have been detrimental for them and make them feel like shit now, just so I can sit back and go, look what I did. So I made amends. Now I'm better. No, I'm not doing that.
It has nothing to do with making yourself better. But if you've got somebody from your past that is stuck on this thing of like, God, I just feel so bad for what I did to Stephanie, and I really feel like I need to apologize to her.
He was in the DI. He should have.
And if part of that process, he gets some peace of mind from it, or they get some peace of mind from it, don't you want them to do that? That doesn't mean that they're a douche because...
Oh, it depends. Honestly, right? Instant clarity, it depends.
Yeah.
Like there's some people that caused a lot of harm. And then I'm like, oh, does that make you feel better? Fuck off. I don't care. If you forgive yourself, then that's fine. Good for you. I hope you do make better choices in your life. I really hope you do. But
so
you're out of my space.
Is amends then more about the about you or about them?
If I make amends, I want it to be about them. I want to make them feel better. I don't like apologies that are superficial just so somebody can make you feel better. I'm sorry. Now make me feel better. Let me know I didn't hurt you. I don't like that. That's not an apology. That's... You're a douche.
Yeah.
If the point of an apology is a heartfelt apology for the person, and then the actions have to show that. So I don't want to make amends if the other person is not going to benefit.
And once again, baby, there's no way to know.
I know. And I will overthink this to no end.
I think we're already there.
Overthinking it?
I think we may have started that train.
Well, what else am I going to do now?
Well, what other resolutions have you thought about maybe for this coming year?
I haven't. I don't like resolutions.
Okay, like I said, it's not a resolution. It's a life goal. What are you going to stretch? What are some stretches for this new year?
Okay, I've been super nervous. So, can you tell?
No.
Has it been obvious, or does it sound like I'm doing okay?
You're doing great.
I remember our conversation the other day about some of the things we were going to talk about and the importance of New Year's and how it only had that effect. Yeah, that's the face. That's why I've been nervous. So we don't have time to get into it on this podcast. What are we in? An hour? Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. So we do not have time.
Yeah, we might have to save that for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie had something that came up in our everyday regular conversation live, and it was something very profound that she's like, "Oh my God, I should probably just talk about this on the podcast." And yeah, we definitely squirreled away from it. I kind of forgot about it until you brought it up now. I mean, in the sense of like,
go back to sleep, Craig.
So yeah, you'll talk about it later. But anyways.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I think this year is big. And I said that last time, that I thought this year was going to have some extreme trials, but it was going to have some extreme growth. And this year, this New Year's has been the first New Year's since, I believe it was New Year's of 98 when it turned into 1998. I believe, yes, before it turned to 1998, that I felt the power of possibility, the power of real possibility, real change, because it just didn't like roll over. It's like a meter that keeps like flipping over and flipping over, flipping over. It felt like an actual start point again, like a new chapter, a new slate, it just had the power of possibility. It just was so strong. And I feel that with this year that I haven't experienced since the 1900s, as our son likes to say. So I'm excited to see what's going to come of it, because this has a lot of power.
I think I hadn't really been thinking about it in the context of a new decade.
Yeah.
More or less it was just in a new year. But the realization has recently been hitting me that, it's a new decade. And I don't think there's like, all of this is silly to some extent, right? Because it's just another day. It's like
time is irrelevant.
As the world turns, right? Yeah, the universe doesn't care. It's all the same. But it's like anything else, the importance and significance that we place on it. And I was thinking, like, there's kind of a big deal about starting a new decade. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what the new decade holds for us.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be pretty
visionary.
Spectacular
Spider-Man.
Amazeballs. Now you're lost in that thing that you wanted to talk about.
I am.
I know.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And it's not that I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
I just felt like maybe I could, but you're putting it out there and I'm like, stop pressuring me. Go pressure somebody else. Peer pressure. Yeah, I think I have conformed to peer pressure. Okay.
I don't think I ever have. I think I'm above being pressured from outside forces. Here comes the cough. I love you.
I love you.
I can't think of any resolution type things that I want to do this year, or that I had in mind, other than just like perpetual movement forward and all the regular everyday stuff that we continually do. I do feel like we need to do something with the podcast this year.
Oh, as opposed to last year?
As opposed to not doing anything with it. No, I don't know. I feel like one of the things that I've loved about the podcast is just the continual kind of evolution and change of it, in a sense, where it hasn't been the same thing from the beginning. It's always been continually shifting and changing.
Okay. Yes.
And so I kind of want to continue in that space of, what are we going to do now? Like, what's next for the podcast? What's next for us in the podcast? What are we going to continue to shift and change up with the podcast?
Okay.
I've been thinking about that, and I don't know. I know we've talked about it, and I think we've mentioned it on the show, where we would have fun doing a live show. Just one to start with.
Singular sensation.
But other things like that too. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's that. That's good. I know you're itching to turn it off.
I'm not.
I think I
You're
said
good.
itching. I meant itching.
We're not anywhere close to time. We're totally fine.
Yeah. So instead of thinking about goals, which are still great, things, actions you want to accomplish, resolutions, podcast, what is it that this year, what do you want to feel? What feeling do you want? Either one that you haven't had, or one that you had and you want more of. What do you want?
Wholeness.
Wholeness.
Yeah.
You want wholeness.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
I feel like it's stuff that I have glimpsed quite a bit as of late. Like a feeling of wholeness and complete, balanced, peaceful. Just this space of like whole and complete. So a feeling where there isn't something missing, or that there isn't some part of me that is broken, or there isn't something that I need to fix, or something that I need to work on, or do you know what I mean? So much of the last, however, 39 years has been fixing stuff. Got to fix this, got to change that, got to work on that, got to make sure that this never happens again, got to, all those type of different things in regards to myself and my mental health and emotional health, and just the constant grind. Really kind of feels like a grind of trying to seek balance within myself. And this year, I would like to have longer periods of time where I feel balanced and whole.
Okay.
Because the fact is, it's all perspective, I mean, I'm always going to have things that I'm working on. I'm always going to have things that I'm striving to improve and to shift and to alter. That's always going to be the case.
Isn't that part beautiful though?
It is. I love it. Right. I accept that part. It's not something that I'm frustrated by. In the past, I wasn't even really cognitive of that part. It was just one from the next to the next to the next. Yeah. Like I accept the ongoing evolutionary cycle of myself.
I'm talking about growth, not like you're saying how the things that you need to repair that's not broken.
Yeah. Yeah. But now being able to not just make peace with that, but to also accept that dynamic as part of the whole.
So that's the feeling.
Yeah.
That's what it means to you.
Where it's like, that isn't separate from the whole. That is part of the whole.
That is part of the whole.
Where I am continually striving to be, quote unquote, a better person, a more balanced human being.
Coming from a place of, if I'm understanding you right, coming from a place of stretch, coming from a place of feeling completed, not coming from a place of.
Well, it has nothing. I mean,
I'm trying to make sure I have a good perspective of what you're saying. Is what
I'm saying is I want to lay my head down on the pillow at night and feel at peace and to feel whole. So it doesn't feel like there's any part of me that is missing or lacking. Just to feel whole.
Just to feel whole. With allowing the growth.
But that allowing of the growth is part of the whole.
I'm not arguing that. I'm getting.
Where are you going? What you getting?
Where am I going? It's like, just easy clarification is think of school. Okay. So what you're talking about is seeing other classes that you want to take and taking those classes, not going necessarily for credit recovery. So you want to be done with credit recovery, done with the Fs, done with the things that maybe failed or broke or dropped out of, the things that you want to be able to have those come to completion, and then still take additional classes for whatever feeds your soul. For a crude way to simplify it down.
Why are you trying to simplify it?
Because I'm going to ask you what it looks like.
Okay.
So what does it look like? So when you have that feeling, but what does the action look like?
The action of it, there isn't action to it. It's just like a way of, it's a feeling.
Yes.
It's very much a feeling, a sensation that comes over me of just peaceful.
Yes.
Wholeness, where things feel so complete. Like I feel complete in life, even though, my life isn't complete, quote unquote. I feel complete in life. Why are you smiling?
I asked you what you want to feel. You want to feel that wholeness.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? What's the action? You're saying it's not an action, it's a feeling. Yes, I understand this feeling, but can you get that feeling by doing nothing?
What do I need to do to get that feeling?
What's the action?
Action. Who's got the action? Oh.
I actually felt that in my throat.
Yeah, that was a big old frog.
How did that happen?
I at this point right now, I'm having a hard time thinking of, because in my mind, trying to think of the action that's going to lead to that feeling is the complete and utter disconnect from the wholeness feeling that I want, because it goes back to that cycle of I have to fix something in order to get somewhere.
Okay.
Where I'll be whole once I get this thing done. Or if I can implement this action, then I will finally be complete and I can sit back and relax.
Okay, I get
and
that.
That dynamic and that cycle is one that I'm breaking, where it isn't a cause and effect. It isn't, I need to lose weight, or I need to be a better father, or I need to heal this relationship, or I need to fix that thing, or all of those things are going to continually be ongoing in my life. But it's the acceptance of that is part of the wholeness and part of the process. And so just seeking out and recognizing and finding more opportunities to be more present to the wholeness and balance that exists in my everyday life.
Yeah, that's not what I meant by action. Stevie, can you do this for me? Close your eyes. I know, close your eyes. Think of a moment when you felt that wholeness. Think of when you felt that. Don't come in
What
here.
do you need? What do you need, babe? Real quick, we're almost done. What? The what?
The
You have to
what?
speak.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Oh, the gray beanie's right there on the little
Gray
shelf,
beanie?
Doric. It's right there.
Why
Mija,
are you looking?
underneath the salt lamp. Oh, good Lord.
We love you so much, special
A
girl.
rattlesnake, what a bitter.
Oh, shit. Okay, go back. Go back.
I can think of those moments.
Okay. What was happening in those moments?
It's just peacefulness, like it's quiet. Do you know what I mean? It's just moments of like sitting in our backyard and like being by the fire or looking up at the sky, or there's moments when like you and I are laying in bed and we're connected and we're touching and we're like in that special place that is just you and I. And it's like, oh, things are so complete right now. I'm so whole. It's that time when I cut off Angel's feet so that her nails wouldn't clickety clack on the hardwood floor. I wouldn't cut off their feet. PETA listeners, I'm a kind person. No, I can think of a lot of those moments, babe.
Okay.
I have to sneeze.
Go ahead, sneeze.
Oh shoot! I don't think it's coming. It's gone. It might come back. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're working there. What you got, Mr. Miyagi?
So I'm just going to throw something out there to you. It's up to you if you catch it or not.
Okay.
It's up to you if it resonates. If it doesn't, then that's cool too, right? It's one of the things I say. If it resonates with you, pick it up. If it doesn't, put it down, walk away. Connection with people, connection with me, obviously. You are zen in bed with me. Mm-hmm. Keep that. So what I'm hearing.
I'm a Zen bedmaster.
You are. Just from what I'm looking at is you're a busy man. Like, yes, we've had a lot of downtime, but we haven't had a lot of inactive, like physically inactive, I guess, but mentally inactive has not been a thing. You're always planning what's the next install, what's the next build, what's the next thing, what's the next with the kids, what's the next, you're going. And the only time that you really make I about choked. Sorry. That was like really, I felt that strong. And I don't know if that's you or if it's me or what. Stillness feels like your stillness. So moments that you can create, whether it is, because there's going to be stillness with people. There's going to be stillness with me. There's going to be stillness, but being able to create stillness within yourself, by yourself. Like whether it's, you just need a little bit of, what does it look like for you to have stillness for yourself, time for yourself, doing things that aren't involving anybody else? Not that that's a bad thing, but things that are not involving anybody else. I'm not talking about group. I'm not talking about classes. I'm not talking about family, or customers. Like what would it look like for you to create stillness with yourself?
It's scary, but I think I can definitely do it. Look for opportunities to do it, to create them. That's the part that I get stuck on. There's times where I find myself in them, and then I can slow down enough and feel it. And those are the times that I can be aware of the whole feeling that I get in those moments. But to try to create those moments, that's the part that seems hard.
Okay.
But I can try, and I want to.
Well, maybe there's too much action in the trying to create it. Maybe it is just being aware of when the moments are coming up to begin with, of when you're driving by yourself, when I'm not with you and the kids aren't with you. It just kind of feels like I'm having some, like I feel like I'm sending you off on it. Yeah. Okay. One of the places that I find it is when I don't use drive time. I haven't got a lot of drive time by myself for a while, but when I don't use drive time to make phone calls, when I don't use drive time to do any other work-related things that may or may not involve things that may or may not be legal while you're driving, when I use
drinking, folks, she's talking about drinking.
I am not. When I use drive time to blast music, almost not even podcasts, because podcasts are still working. So not podcasts. It's when I use to drive time to blast music, because even sometimes where I'm at now, the stillness, the quiet, my brain's thinking. So I can let go. I sing at the top of my lungs. Sometimes I remember to roll the windows up. Sometimes I don't. It can get embarrassing. And I dance. And I don't care when somebody can see. So there are times it tones down at a stoplight, but there's times it doesn't. And I just look forward. If I don't make eye contact, they can't see me. So la la la. But that's a moment where I allow stillness for myself. Another moment is there's a lot of times in the shower, and I'll just let that hot water just come over me. And that's a moment for stillness. Now, I love showering with you, but maybe we shower together too much.
No,
maybe it's
blasphemy.
Maybe it's a moment. So that's just, those things work for me. They may or may not work for you, but just little moments of individualized stillness to where it's okay to not have to share yourself all the time.
It's good stuff, babe. We did it.
We did what?
We recorded the first episode of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Yes.
You're a podcast host.
No.
Yes.
The dog.
Don't get squirred by the dog sneezing in the other
She's
round.
going to reverse donkey kick the statue
good God.
again. Are you done? She almost broke shit. She's a spastastic. Okay.
I love you. I have to go turn the crock pot up, and we have to go cut those feet off that dog. Throw them in the crock pot.
Ew.
Anything in closing?
Hi, Angel. Angel came to say hi.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it.
You good?
I'm actually... You're going to have to edit all of this out.
No way, Jose.
I'm so panicking right now.
Podcast over, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go eat some, what's in the crock pot?
Dog's feet.
Dog's feet.
Don't tell me I got to. Remember, I don't succumb to peer pressure. You tell me I got to do something, I'm going to tell you to shove it up your ass. I think any horrible thing you do in middle school, you might get a pass because middle school sucks.
Give me some coffee, woman, and change the subject. Fucking idiot teachers
Right?
back in the 80s and 90s.
I got one turntable and a microphone over here.